Coach, did y'all have that don't ask, don't tell policy back in the day?
At halftime, you took us out there into the end zone, and you said, Mike Long, where's Mike Long? And I said, he said, son, he said, you're a freshman, right? Yes, sir. You're playing like a damn freshman. Boy, I
And me and Daniel was really good friends. He was a decent little wrestler. Well, he tied me up, Coach Jester was laughing, and I said, Daniel, if you don't let me up, I'm gonna beat your ass when you do let me up. I didn't go back. I said, Coach, I'm gonna go run track.
And they were ragging you or challenged you or something, but you went in there and beat the shit out of the wrestling team guys. Is that how it went?
I don't know that story.
Welcome back to Born Southern, and we have got a special guest today, several special guests, but the Union County and Mid-Hill legend, so you was at Independence and Piedmont, and that's where we know you from, the legendary Coach Rusty Jester, and we're proud to have you here today.
Good to have you,
Coach. Thank you, guys.
Man, yeah, so Terry, you've had a lot of influence in getting Coach Jester down here to begin with, to coach at Piedmont when we were younger. So tell us how you worked that out.
Well, when my son was a freshman, which was 2001, I believe it was, they had lost 44 games in a row at Piedmont High School. Scored 18
This
points.
is the second time he came.
Second time.
Right.
Are you talking about the first time or
Yeah,
second
the first time. I want to hear both of them.
Well, I didn't really have a whole lot to do with the first time. I came in the same time he did. His first year at 79, at 1 year at Piedmont Middle, and that's how me and him met.
Okay.
So, and then I left after a year and got in the cable TV business, but he stayed and coached there for 5 years, turned the program around and the wrestling program and everything else.
But, I know. We were just talking about it outside earlier. If you ever wanted your kids to be a part of a program, that the coach would just, if he said, I want you to run through that block wall, and you want your kids to figure out a way to do it, this is the coach right here. Because you did not want to disappoint Coach Jester. Y'all agree with that?
Yes, sir.
Tell us how you got there. What made you want to come to Piedmont?
Well, I was a defense coordinator at West Charlotte for 5 years, right out of college. And I was wanting to be a head football coach. Applied for several positions, and Piedmont nibbled, and I didn't even know where Piedmont was, even though I went to Independence High School as a student, an athlete. But I applied, and Jerry Cross hired me, so that's how it started.
I got the tail end of that first time you were there, because I got to come over there and coach, and I wrestled a lot. I played ball, but I never had another coach like you. Like I needed Rusty Jester in that time of my life, because I don't think you realize how many people you affected over the years that went on to coach and stuff, and I coached with your same mentality, because I had a AAU wrestling program my son was on, so it was you're gonna do it my way, and you're gonna do it hard, you're gonna get out. I'm not playing no games. And so we had a stellar little team for years, and then when I got hoodooed into getting into the coaching at the high schools, I went and I realized that, boy, these kids are not the same anymore. Like it's a different day, man. They don't, the parents are just so baby them so much. It just blew my mind. Like they would have never been able to take Rusty Jester back then.
Yeah, the kids have changed. The world's changed. Yeah.
I remember the one time I was a freshman, and we were playing awful. And at halftime, you took us out there into the end zone, and you said, Mike Long, where's Mike Long? Where's Mike Long? And I said, he said, son, he said, you're a freshman, right? I said, yes, sir. He said, you're playing like a damn freshman. Boy, I lit their ass up in the second half. I said, I'm not playing like my age. Boy, he just had a way about him that, boy, he could get it out of you, And then, so we had I just really enjoyed it, and I almost followed you to Independence when you went up there. I was my parents were, we were trying to head that way, and we ended up staying in the county. But what, Terry, we got Todd Hagler's here with us and Eric Purser. So y'all was in that first group that he coached at Piedmont.
Yeah, I remember one of the first times. I think I was playing up one time. We played in Jamboree down there in South Carolina. And and we were terrible. He told us, get on the bus, don't take your helmet off. You show everybody we're going to the Piedmont and we're practicing. Well, we didn't say a word. He went down there and he flipped the lights on Friday night late, and we was out there at 11 o'clock. And I remember I was like a weenie. And we got like the 3-yard line running plays to the end zone. I was quarterback or something, and I got the snap, and I scooted in the end zone. I said, thank the Lord. And just said, damn it, you didn't get hit, Purser. Do it again. I said, this time I just weaseled right up the middle to get hit because I did not want to do that again. It was vicious.
I remember that I had that written down as one of my memories. My daddy went over there to him walking off the field and said, hey, back then you had to tell your coach you was going to ride back with your mom and dad. And he said, Todd's going to ride back with us. And he said, no, he ain't. He's going to get on the bus and we going to go practice. And we got down, and it's just like Eric said, it won't no walkthrough now. We got down there and got after it, and that was the year I was a freshman. And I was playing quarterback too, and I remember we ran one and I scooted in. He said, no, we're going to be physical. And he was going to make you create some contact. It was
And look, back then, Todd was the only one that got to ride home with their parents. The rest, I was like, y'all keep him as long as you can. And Todd, he's in the air conditioning riding back with his Izod shirt on.
His members only jacket if it was cold.
Yeah. Old Todd was tough as a knot, but he was you now, like you kind of, we call that metrosexual.
I guess that's sexual. Yeah, my middle initials.
We're
M for metrosexual.
We're for a straight guy.
There we go.
I come to work sometimes, he says, let me guess, you dressed yourself today. What's the matter? Lord of mercy. So we had, now I know that when that first turned, I think 84, y'all went 7-3.
Yeah, we went 7-3.
Mm-hmm. And we thought we were, we're going to be a powerhouse. And then, did y'all hear? I said, we didn't hear nothing. What? So, Coach Jester's moving Independence. we knew. It was like, I don't care who they bring in, it ain't going to be the same. And it wasn't either. But we had my freshman year wrestling over there. I'll never forget, me and you were on the mat, and you'd work, you work out with us. And so, you picked me that day. And so, I'd done learned about 3 moves by then. So, and somebody had told me how to throw the legs in. And so Coach started, on the bottom, and I threw the legs in real quick. Man, you know how his head would just turn beet red and just that joker turned beet red. He said, oh, you want to play them sissy ass legs? He said, I think so. And man, he beat me to death for the next 5 minutes. I coached for 16 years. I finished wrestling in high school, then coached for 16 years. Never taught one leg, never threw another leg in. Said, Coach Jester said no. God almighty. So how did you, now you moved to Independence after that.
I did.
And you had that's a different caliber ball player.
We had some pretty good players.
Yeah. So tell us about them guys and who you had playing back then at Independence.
I had a run of a bunch of good players. We had a lot of numbers. And, of course, it's a big school.
How long were you there at Independence?
16.
Okay.
16 years.
Oh, yeah. So now I know. I remember those years at Independence. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I had both the league boys, Angelo Lord, Mario Greer.
Yep. That running back that wound up going to Florida State, I think he was a couple years earlier than the league boy. Was a really, really good running back. Went to Florida State, played a good bit, but didn't ever make it to the big time. I can't remember his.
Not sure who you're talking about.
I'll try to think.
Sean Chambly?
Maybe that's who it was. I know he was just a really, really exceptional running back that Independence had.
Yeah, one year our backfield was 230 at fullback, Mario Greer, and like 235 at tailback.
Yeah.
And they both could fly. Mario ended up playing New England Patriots.
Yeah, I
for
remember.
5
Wow.
years
Yep.
and scored in one of the Super Bowl games.
We had our running backs were nowhere near that big, and we ran like linemen.
One year I had a line that was huge, and I had an extra tackle that was 6'5", 270. I'm like, he runs pretty good. Let's put him at tight end. And we put him at tight end. We had a 275-pound tight end.
That's you know when
And he caught Y Pop. The DB's eyes went.
I guarantee you. So a lot of guys came out on you and coached and stuff too. And Todd, you've coached. You've been coaching your whole life now, right?
Pretty close.
Retired and NASCAR. Been doing some NASCAR lately, haven't you?
Through with that for right now.
Too. Well, tell you got your microphone on. Tell everybody what you've been doing since high school.
Coached high school ball about 25 years. Coached college. I was in college strength and conditioning for about 3, and that was good. I missed when I was there. I missed doing the strength and the football side of it. You know, you couldn't do both. You did one or the other.
You did that at Chapel Hill, right?
I did. I was at UNC Chapel Hill. Then I went to Kannapolis, where I spent about 20 years, and retired from North Carolina during COVID. Went to South Carolina for 2 years. Then didn't like the living arrangement I had there, and went and sold weightlifting equipment. And it just so happened that, you know, Hendrick Motorsports was one of my clients. And when I was selling, and got some relationships there, and went to ended up coaching there for about 2.5 years, and just decided I wanted to go a different direction.
Coaching their pit crews?
Yes, sir.
I know when we was in school, it used to just really piss me off that did they not? I felt like the quarterbacks on the other teams was throwing him the ball on purpose sometimes. He had more pick sixes than anybody I've ever, and you see how big he is, and he'd get down that line.
I like this then now. I could run back in the day now.
Well, neither one of us was blazing fast, so.
He was all conference as a sophomore.
Yeah. Oh, I know. That pissed me off too. That's good. Well, I always looked up to Todd and Eric both, and they turned out half-ass. I'm proud of them.
Both of them played college ball. When they played college ball.
You played a wing it too, didn't you?
He was at LR.
Yeah, we played against each other on punt.
Yeah, we lined up head to head. He was on punt return.
I was on punt return.
On punt.
Yeah.
And we knew it did. God dang, first time we learned, I said, damn, that's Todd. We laughed at each other and said, we ain't even gonna hit each other. You know, well, I was supposed to hit him and then release and go down. He was supposed to hold me up, and we just like, God, dog, you lost my
Part of
cousin.
that thing when I was a sophomore in high school, though, you got to remember now, we played a lot of 2 safeties, and David Tobias was on the other side. They weren't going to throw it where David Tobias was.
I think you boys got him from Sun Valley, didn't you?
David Tobias?
Yeah, I wish he'd have been there when I'd have been there. Been somebody else to throw to anyway.
That joker, I think David had the biggest bench in school, and he wasn't very heavy,
He
was
was
he?
an athlete.
He was strong.
He was an athlete.
It didn't take a rocket science to figure out when that quarterback looked over there which side he was going to throw to.
God almighty. So you got to play with all them guys over there and got out of Unionville, Union County here. What was the draw to bring you back? Besides Terry Green and the machine? I call it Terry Green and the machine.
Yeah.
It was all Terry Green, believe me, because I had no intentions of leaving Independence High School at that time.
Right. Well, you went to school there, right?
And I played there, yeah.
Yeah.
I went to school and played there, yeah. So that was my homecoming, to go back to Independence.
Right. I knew that. I knew when they said Independence, I said, well, that's true then. He ain't coming back. That's it. I got to find another school to go to. Now, I remember you telling stories when we were younger, and you didn't wrestle in college, right?
No, I did not.
So the wrestle. This is the story. This is how I remember it. Sometimes my remember ain't right, but this is how I remember it. Coach was coming into the gym one day, and the wrestling team was practicing, and he wrestled in high school, but he didn't wrestle in college. And they were ragging you or challenged you or something in there. I can't remember what it was, but you went in there and beat the shit out of the wrestling team guys in your weight class, just coming off the football field. Is that how it went?
I don't know that story.
Is that a Piedmont story or an independent story?
I don't. That was something I
Somebody
heard.
made that one up.
They might have. I don't know.
Here's a story on my wrestling career. I played basketball in the 8th grade, rode the bench. Played in 9th grade, started. I was the starting center. And I was as tall as I am now in the 9th grade.
Right.
Averaged 5 points a game. I was a shooting fool.
Yeah.
I'd make a couple extra points and maybe one layup. That'd be it.
You was like red-skinned Dennis Rodman.
But my problem was I fouled out every game. Except for one, and I got in a fight in that one. I got kicked out. And the wrestling coach saw me after the last basketball game. He says, I need you to come out for wrestling. I'm like, what time of year is it? He said, it's in the winter. I said, well, I play basketball. He said, yeah, I've seen you play basketball. He said, you need to wrestle.
That's too funny right there. They, so Chris and David
Yes.
were your sons, and so they were little when we were in school over there. And I remember they'd come up on the weekends sometime and get on the mat when we were practicing, we were wrestling stuff. And boy, I knew back then. I said, man, that David is really, he's calm, collect, got a head on his shoulders. That Chris is going to beat somebody up in school. He was a little stud back then, and he ended up being state champion too,
He
didn't
was
he?
a state champion.
Chris is a stud, man. But I remember them. You'd turn around, get the other way, and we'd get them riled up, and then we'd throw them at each other. Man, they look like two buzzsaws going at it in there.
And they wore cowboy boots.
Yeah.
They kicked the crap out of it.
They walk around practice, kick them. My dad said, y'all need to get busy.
That sounds just like him. Oh my Lord! What? So getting you back over there, and how did you? Because you said Piedmont lost 44 games in a row.
No, it was absolutely terrible. So I went. Archie Price was the principal over there, and I went over and talked to him, and I said, "Look, we got to do something." He said, "Well, will you help me?" I said, "Yeah." So I started making some phone calls. I even called Johnny Lowry down at Forest Hills, and I said, "You want to find out how good a coach you are? Come over here to Piedmont. We got some good players."
Did he say hard pass?
So I called Rusty, and I said, "Rusty, I'm over here. We got to do something." I said, "Do you know of anybody?" I said, "Well, at least come over here and look." I said, "We got a weight room over here, and they don't even have any weights in it." And I said, "Will you come over here and just look?" So he came over one afternoon at Piedmont, and me and him talked, and we looked, and we stayed good friends ever since '79.
Right.
Even though I left and got in the cable business and traveled all over, and I was sitting there, and he was at Independence, and I kind of challenged him a little bit, like, we got to have some help. And he was living at Mount Mid Hill area. He was ready to move, and I said, "Look, let's figure out what we can do." So I kind of talked to him a little bit about coming, and I said, "If you come out here," I said, "whatever you need, I'm going to make sure you get it."
Right.
So one thing led to the next, and he came out and looked at it, and he decided that he would come. Bob Sellers was promoted to the athletic director that same year he came in here.
Right.
That was big.
Yeah.
He was a good guy.
Bob was a great guy. They named the Fieldhouse after him.
Right.
And that's something that I helped build. I raised roughly $600,000, $100 at a time. Put on a golf tournament in the spring and one in the fall, and a dance in the fall and a dance in the spring. Sold billboards, sold cakes, had raffles.
They ain't no better than Terry Green
But
when
we
it comes
made
to
it-
raising money.
Well, sometimes I'll tell you about the oyster roast we had out there, but I can't tell you that on here. But anyway, we did a lot of good things. Todd and Greg Loving were very instrumental in helping
Yeah.
Tim and Bird Dog. But we did pretty good. And I was just so happy to see us turn this thing around. Because I said, "Rusty, they scored 18 points last year." He said, "We're going to score 30-something a game." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, right." Well, it didn't take long. And he put them out there to practice, and we had a crowd out there to practices. People would bring their yard chairs and come out there and watch the practices.
I believe it.
And I know we struck a check for, ordered $20,000 worth of weights and mats and
No uniforms.
new uniforms. We had the prettiest uniforms. They were Carolina, but they looked good.
Right.
And I know a couple Fridays out there, we striped the end zone. I did on a couple Fridays after Thanksgiving. I didn't ask anybody to come help me because it's Friday after Thanksgiving. It took 50 gallons of white paint and 50 gallons of blue paint, but we did it. And you know, we had crowds. We had people coming out there and putting blankets in the stadium at 12 o'clock on Friday, so they could have a reserved seat.
Right.
Had to put bleachers in the end zone.
Yep. And
I remember I came out there and watched some games. I was like, what
I didn't have to worry about Rusty. All I did was try to make sure we got pretty much anything we needed.
Right.
From renting buses to any kind of equipment that we needed. And it went from absolutely the worst in the state to, I never will forget the Monroe game in 2003 when we were down at Monroe, because Monroe always beat us like a drum. And we didn't have any timeouts, and it was less than a minute to go. And I forgot what the center's name was. What that was Medlin. Went walking up to the line with 40-something seconds to go, and we scored and beat them. And, I mean, the crowd, it was unreal.
Right.
And at halftime, though, we were behind, and I was up in the coaching booth, and Rusty, the players were on, on the sideline, and we were coming in to go into the Fieldhouse, and their coaches and all were holding us up, our team up, and Rusty, so that the Monroe team could come all the way across the field. And Coach Jester wasn't going to have no part of that. He said, "Get out of my damn way." And he went through there, and I mean, all of a sudden the cops had to come straighten it out. This was at halftime.
Right.
And we were in there at halftime, and Dick Gresham, I don't know if y'all remember Dick. Dick's passed away, but he was an ex-Marine, and he was in there doing his little halftime spiel, and he reached in the back of his pocket, and he pulled out a can, and he said, "I was hoping that I didn't have to open this can." And he held it up, and it was a can of whoop ass. And I'm going to tell you what, I'm a coach. I was there with him. The hair, what little bit I got, was standing up on the back of my neck. We came out of there at halftime, and I'm telling you what, it was on.
And I love to hear that.
Those were, that's one of my, and the next week, we go down to Anson, and, Anson was a powerhouse back then. They were going head-to-head with Independence.
They went second in the state the year before that, 4A.
4A.
And dropped to 3A.
Yeah, we went down there, and we beat Anson, and next Saturday morning, I got a call from Senator, what's his name up here on Monroe? The road's named after him. Plowler. He called me from Raleigh Saturday morning. He said, "Terry, what in the hell are y'all doing down there? I love it."
Yeah. So we got Jester back.
That's right. That's right.
At the end of the Monroe game, I go in, and this SWAT-looking guy comes in there to, "Coach Jester, come here." So I walk outside with him. I'm like, I'm getting in trouble because I'd pretty much started a fight with those two Monroe coaches. Pretty much. And he said, "Coach, that's the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life." So on the way home, there's a police car in front of, and we got two buses. There's a police car in front of my bus and one behind my bus. And the other bus ain't got no protection at all, but my bus has got two police cars taking us home.
That's the craziest thing. Monroe's done really well lately.
Multiple state championships.
Johnny Sal is a great coach.
Has he not?
He's a great
I remember playing against Johnny.
That's right.
Really?
I remember coaching
Yeah.
against him. Played App State.
Yeah, our last game my senior year, they hadn't been scored on. The only time I ever got to play Forest Hills because they weren't in our conference. We were 3A and they were 2, and they got bumped up in '86 my senior year. They hadn't been scored on in forever at home, and they only threw one pass. And I intercepted it. And I went by their coach, and the coach was like, "Oh, shit." They were beating us 20-0. We weren't going to lose. But he didn't even want to get scored on. And I was like, "I got y'all." Johnny Sal come up. I mean, I done run 40 or 50 yards, and I'm like, I called it going that way. Everybody else was going that way. He walked me down. He ran a 4.4.
Oh, good Lord.
And then I watched him play some intramural ball at Wingate. Guy's not very tall at all, and he was dunking with authority in those intramural games and stuff. He was just a super athlete and a superman, super guy.
There's been some really good athletes come out of Union County. They just weren't there when I was there, unless we were playing against Todd. We had Todd. Andy Tomlin, true. Yeah. That's right. That's an athlete right there.
Y'all probably played against Mike Washington too.
Here's a Chris story for you. So after the Monroe game, go through and we're shaking hands, and the two coaches I'd had a little scuffle with, I ain't shaking your effing hand. And Chris is right there behind me. He's like, you need to shake my dad's hand. I'm about to whoop your ass.
And he has that same skin tone. So when that stuff starts going red, you know Chris is serious too.
Yeah.
Well, that Monroe, the Cam Spear, probably one of the best football players to ever come out of Piedmont.
Ever come out of Piedmont.
He went on to play on all three of those championship teams
National
at the
championships.
Appalachian too.
Yes, he did.
And,
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a linebacker. Yeah. He started. He played when they beat Michigan.
No kidding.
And
Yeah.
he was a tailback as well as a linebacker. Tell them about the hook and ladder. We were getting beat by Monroe with few. Wasn't
I think it was the next year, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I think it
that
was the
Piedmont.
next year. And we had put the hook and ladder in just to prepare for them because they are famous for running hook and lateral.
Right.
So we got in a situation. I'm like, God, this is a good time to run the hook and lateral. So we ran the hook and lateral, and Cam Spear going right down the sideline. The Monroe coach was running right with him. Got him, buddy.
Johnny Sal running with him.
Yeah, he could. I'm gonna tell you that.
Oh, swanny.
and then Dan Brooks, probably if he had played all 4 years at Piedmont with him, could have went any college he wanted to go because he was an athlete and he could fly. Probably one of the fastest white kids that we know of. I remember he ran a square out against Monroe and caught it and ran about 60 yards. They couldn't nobody.
Y'all
catch
had the Jordan boys too, though, right?
that was
Huey and
That was the
Larry.
first
That was
time.
79 group.
Yeah.
that was just the first year.
But Huey ended up had some stuff going on, and he ended up going to Forest Hills.
He went back to Forest Hill. Something
Yeah.
about his mother's address.
Right.
And Larry was like all conference in 4 sports, right?
Yeah.
He
was.
wrestled. Yeah, he did wrestle.
He got, and back then all you had to do is win the conference tournament, and that made you the conference champion in wrestling. So he did that. I think he only wrestled 1 year, didn't he?
Only 1 year?
And he was just that good of an athlete. I mean, Larry was a little stud,
He
you know.
was.
And track, again, he wasn't out there training to run sprints, but he was fast as lightning. So he got in baseball and football. I think did he make all conference in all 4 sports?
I think that's true.
Wow.
That was
know that.
Yeah, he's
pretty
good
impressive. I see him every now and then. He lives over this way. He's he looks a lot different. He just grins like old possum. I'm sorry, he's a good old fella.
One of the things that I remember as much as anything was at Concord. Concord always, was a powerhouse in football. And the first year that we played them, they beat us, but it was like a last second, And so the next year we went to Concord. And we had a crowd. We took a crowd of people up there. I think we had like 3,000 people at the stadium in Concord. They gave a standing ovation for our linemen when they came out to warm up
Really?
to the game. And there again, what little hair I had was standing up because if that doesn't do it, and we beat them like 30
to 6, I think it was.
Yeah, 30-6. And that was when old, what's his name was coaching?
Easy Smith.
Easy Smith. And he couldn't stand it.
Yeah.
But I mean, we go out there and we start warming up, and our guys, when we're warming up, didn't wear their shoulder pads and all that because it was hot. And they had T-shirts and all. They came out there. Concord came out there in their black and whatever, and they looked like they were going. We beat the hound.
Listen, the longest play I ever remember from the line of scrimmage at Piedmont, you had just left. You left, and then if I can't say nothing good, I ain't gonna say nothing at all about the next coach that came in over there. And so we're what was his name? He was the Lee Majors. That's right.
Bionic man.
Yeah. He played for Bear Bryant, and so we were like, okay, well, me and Bear Bryant, well, that didn't mean shit, I'll tell you. But so we were running, and we couldn't. Our line was probably about 145 pounds, and there wasn't that many of us, and none of us were very fast. And so I was running the ball up the middle, left, right. Well, I was getting hit by 17 or 8. I think 6 or 7 was coming off the bench at the same time and hit me with the other 11. And so I was like, what? They done figured this out. You're going to run me up the middle. And they were like, they kept calling the same play. I said, this is ridiculous. So we was in the huddle, and I told Todd, I said, because when they would fake it to Todd, like it was a pitch, hand it to me, and I'd hit the middle. I said, when they fake that to you this time, I said, keep looking. Todd said, why? I said, because if all 17 of them hit me again, I'm tossing the ball to you. Todd said, I don't think Coach is like. I said, shit, you gotta like it better than this. So I hit that hole, boom, and it felt like 14 trucks, boom, boom, boom. And I turned around and Todd was like, we shouldn't be doing this. I was going down, I said, just threw it up in there. Todd took it down the sidelines for about 30 yards. And what the hell are y'all doing out there? Well, Coach, we was getting yardage. This is unusual, I know. I think we did like 2 or 3 plays, and they was throwing clipboards and everything else. I said, man, we done run the ball 36 times so far this half, and we've got 14 yards rushing. Whoa. He just tripled our nightly yard that quick. But Todd was a good player. He's a good ball player, so he had a knack for finding the hole. I didn't know nothing but stick my head down and hope for the best. So,
you could run. You were fast.
I wasn't.
You could run.
I probably should have played offensive guard and probably helped the team more the older we got. But because we had Robert Bell, man, and I know. I mean, I'm gonna tell you right now, what we had after you left was not a good fit for Robert Bell. Because we couldn't keep him off of us, so we had to just try to pound it, you know. But Bell, I think you started calling him swivel hips or something when you was there. But Bell had moves. Bell was the fastest one. He was, and I just felt like after you left that he didn't get a fair shake. Like he could have, if in my opinion, and I wouldn't have liked it, but I was young and it wouldn't matter. I would have said like, Long, you go in the guard, you gonna block, and then Bell, you and Todd just run the ball. And we just needed a couple. If we had just a couple guys on the line that could, because Ken Knight and Beefy and all them boys, they and Andy had
he
signed a baseball. He already got a baseball deal or something in place. So Andy didn't play senior year. So all those really good juniors that were there when you were there, when you left, they didn't play the next year. Right. So we were playing with a less than stellar group of young men, including me. We were just doing the best we could, trying to wait for that clock to run out.
Everything was so different then too, in terms of practice organization and the way you felt as a player. You know, the thing that Coach Jester did better than anybody, in my opinion, was he put you in a position to win. Now, everybody knows, and he'll tell you that good players make good coaches. But he put players, he accentuated his good players, put them where they needed to be, and then adequate players, he fit in there, but those guys didn't know they were just adequate. Those guys felt like they were Superman. And, you know, I heard a speech one time, Daryl Royer was speaking at a clinic when he was the coach at Texas, and he said, you know, to be a great coach, you got to have it. And it's hard to define what that is. And a guy raised his hand and said, Coach, can you tell me what's it? He said, you ain't got it.
You ain't got it.
If you gotta ask.
And that's what that man had. And you know, Coach Green, I'm gonna put Coach in front of his name because I think that's the best title you can put in front of anybody's name, in my opinion. Put it ahead of doctor, whatever. But Coach Green coached me from the time I was in the 6th grade, and he was the same way. Now he was very detailed with his practice. I'll never forget he coached basketball, and I won't call the team that we were playing, but he told us if we lost that game, we were going to run 10 laps for every game we lost by. For every point we lost by, we were going to run 10 laps. And if you know anything about Piedmont basketball now, it ain't very good, and it wasn't very good then. And we should have beat that team. Yeah. We should have beat them, but we lost by 11 points, and we ran 110 laps to the next practice in middle school.
Good for you.
Yeah. Listen, the best.
The expectation was high.
Yeah, exactly. The one inspirational speech that I remember best from our childhood, we were playing on the 110-pound and over team in middle school, and Wing Hill was coaching us. We had 2 games left. Monroe hadn't won a game all year.
Wing Hill, you talking about Dennis Hill?
Dennis Hill, yeah. And so it was them and us. We were the toilet bowls there, and we had Forest Hills was our last game. So he called us all out there before the game. He said, boys, he said, everybody take a knee. He said, I'm going to tell you, he said, listen here. He said, I'm going to need all of y'all to play with everything you got tonight. He said, we're going to win this game. He said, I'm going to just go ahead and be honest with you. If y'all don't win today, this is your only shot because you ain't going to win next week. And we were like, well, shit, he's right. Oh, you remember that? That was some good stuff. They, well, what about the wrestling coach? You know, when we were at Piedmont and we got over there, and I got the pleasure of wrestling my freshman year. I got to wrestle against Craig May every day, and that was awful. Like, he was weight class below me, but he was a stud. He played. I think he didn't him and
Nose guard.
Even nose guard.
him and Todd Lovin both. As that's a couple too. You mentioned them a while ago. Todd and Greg Lovin. I love them guys, man. Those guys that played like that and with everything they had and coached like that. That was always my jam. Like that's the ones I want to be around.
Todd was a good linebacker.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
I believe Andy Tomlin would have played his senior year if you'd have stayed at Piedmont.
Oh yeah.
Football. Even though
He was a leading rusher in the county.
I know he
1,200
would have
yards.
played if he was focusing on baseball. But when you left, like I said, the air went out of all the guys that were there. But when he came back the second time, it picked it up. Jason Balcom was part of that crowd when you first came in there, and Stephen Black's brother Chris
Black.
and those guys, because Rusty was there, and he saw Jason and he saw Chris and he saw some of them other kids when he come over there that day. And he was like, "Well, you know what? They got some specimens.
we might have to talk about this." Now y'all were like 12-1 2 years in a row, or
13-1.
13-1.
That one year you lost to Ashbrook, y'all were the best team in the state, Mike.
The best team in the state
Yes,
there
we
in
were.
2002.
Yep, that we should have won.
520 yards offense to 190.
Should have won that.
Good.
2 red zone picks.
Yep, we were.
They would tell you that. They've told me that.
So was that in the state playoffs? Y'all
That was in the third or fourth round.
That was a quarter round. No, we'd have won that. We'd have went to Raleigh or wherever, Chapel Hill for the state.
NC State.
Ashbrook won it.
Yeah, and we had them beat.
520 yards offense to 190.
good gosh, that's crazy. When you was coaching wrestling, I guess I'm assuming was Grayson. What was his name?
David Gregson.
David Gregson. Now he was, and I was a lot bigger than him in a different weight class. But when you're passionate about football or wrestling, whether you know the people or not, you respect them and you know who they are, and and you respect their grit and what. And that dude, he had it.
He had it.
He was tough.
Yeah.
And you said he won the state 2 years, right?
3 years in a row.
3.
3 years in a row. Yeah, I met him.
My first year there, he was a sophomore.
Really?
Yeah, he won it.
Now that there was another guy that went to Independence when you were over there. I think you were there, and I had stopped by there for something. I don't even know what, but he's the preacher over at Hickory Grove Baptist Church now. He was a big guy in school. Was Clint
Presley.
Yeah.
He was a defensive tackle.
Yeah,
Played at Wofford.
he was put together good, wasn't
Yes,
he?
he was.
Yeah, he was. But I remember people like that too, like the people that when you're younger and you meet somebody and you're like, man, I got something different about that guy. He was a big guy, like he was put together, but he was just a kind. You could just tell the Lord had plans for him even when we were in high school. I remember that.
After he graduated from Wofford, he was Louisiana or Mississippi, and he was a preacher. And he showed up at practice one day. I'm like, Clint, would you talk to the team a little bit? Whatever you want to say.
Right.
He's like, yeah, I'll be glad to. And he started talking. I'm like, whoa, this guy's got the gift.
Man, I'm telling you.
Man, he can put some words together.
I've had a lot of people. Honestly, I thought about going up there and watching him, before, but I've had a lot of people say that he's the Lord's on him, buddy. He does a great job up there.
He does. He's got a lot of gifts.
That's crazy. So was Gregson the best wrestler you coached over there? Well, you had Chris too, your son.
It'd be hard to go against Chris.
That's what I wasn't even thinking about that. Take Chris out of the picture.
I put it this way: he had 19 forfeits his senior year.
Nobody wanted none of him.
Oh,
He
I
got
know.
a forfeit in a finals of a conference. I mean, at the Myers Park tournament, guy forfeited in the finals. Wouldn't wrestle him.
Listen, I knew when he was about 4 or 5 years old. I said, if you told me that then, I said I could see it. It's going to happen. He was just a stud.
I sent him to the Minnesota 30-day intensive camp, and when he came back, he was a different animal.
Really.
Oh, he was brutal.
What class was he?
65.
Okay, tough class. Tough class.
No, he didn't wrestle in college. Should have, but he didn't.
He's in the fitness. He's been in the fitness business for. Is he still doing that too? Selling the equipment stuff.
No, he quit doing that.
Is he not doing?
He started working for Steve Crittenden, if y'all remember him.
I don't know if I remember.
Yeah, he used to sell fitness equipment, but yeah,
He
I've worked for him for years.
Chris came when we bought the World Gym up there in Concord. Chris came and worked for. He did good doing sales there. He just got the people like him. He's like you. It's like you. In my opinion, when you meet him and you don't really know him, you're like, oh, he's a nice enough guy, but I believe he'll whoop your ass. You know what I'm saying?
He's real.
Yeah,
He's real.
He ain't pulling no punches. Lord have mercy. So what else? What are you doing now, Coach? Are you just enjoying retirement?
I work at the golf course 2 days a week, and I play golf 3 days a week.
That's a great life.
5-day week right there.
He wins enough money playing golf from Pat Furr
I get
to
money from
get
my
supported.
gasoline.
Well, man, you still look like you're in good shape, and you still got size.
Mike, you're being nice.
Hey, I'm telling you.
You got to
I'm
tell.
an old fat guy now. I'm
You got to
sorry.
tell that story about the Panther since it's on camera. We said it
Absolutely. Yeah,
earlier,
I don't want to miss on telling.
but we didn't. We Pat Furr and Dick Gresham and Rusty and I played golf, and we went down in January to some guys that Dick knew, and it snowed. And we made Pat come down there because we told him it's 80 degrees and there weren't no snow on the ground, even though there was about 4.
He believed
But he drove his old blue pickup 4-wheel drive truck down there called Brutus down there. And we went from down at Myrtle Beach up to we played Oyster Bay. Had to go up to North Myrtle. And we rode by this place that sells all these statues and things. Well, I looked out there and there was a panther out there, a cat, black. I said, that's a panther. And we stopped, and I went in there, and I said, I'm going to buy that
See,
thing.
Piedmont's logo, Piedmont's
It's a panther.
It's a Piedmont
That's right.
Panther.
And we didn't have nothing out there that looked like that. So we went on and played golf, and, one thing led to another, and we played golf because you had to really partake in a lot of stuff to stay warm that day. We came back that night, and the guy said, I'm going to leave it here. If we stop by coming back from playing golf, can we load it in the back of the truck? He said, yeah, I'll go ahead. So I got a receipt in case cops came out there. But that thing must have weighed 500 pounds.
11 o'clock at
We had to
night.
get a New Holland to get it off the truck when we got back to Piedmont and set it. But we stopped at 11 o'clock at night, and it was about 20-something degrees, and we went out there. Us 4 went out there in the back of the truck, backed up to the statue, and all 4 of us tried to grab a hold of it and pick it up. And, I mean, that old jacked-up truck was high, and we couldn't get it in the back. We tried, and we just set it down. Well, Dick Gresham was the one that the brains thought he was anyway. He's walking around. He said, I got to get something that's got some leverage. Well, he goes, and he don't come back. I'm sitting there looking at Pat. I'm having trouble standing up anyway, and it's cold. I said, come on, boys. We all 3, me and Rusty and Pat, grabbed that thing, and we got it about 4 inches from the top of the tailgate. And that's it. And I said, come on. And we all grunted one more time, and we set it in the back of the truck. And then as soon as we got it in there, we were hanging on the truck, just, out of breath.
Which one's got hernia surgery first?
Yeah, and then here comes Dick bebopping around the back of the building with a 2x4. He thought that was going to help us. But we brought that thing back to Piedmont. We built the monument because we had the construction going on with the Fieldhouse.
Right.
Wrestling room.
Yeah, and we built that wrestling room so that it would be 100 degrees, 110 in there. And thank goodness for Noel Williams Masonry doing the concrete work, and the McGee boys for laying the brick, and Doug Helms and Stan Brooks did a lot of the framing and all on it. But we put that out there in front of the Fieldhouse now. They've moved it to the front of the stadium, I think, now. But it's still there, and it's still got the plaque where us 4 were there. and we all got together and come up with a little saying in front of it. And but that was one of the highlights of my career because that kind of
awesome.
put a cap on the Fieldhouse and the statue, and I hope that will always be part of the history at Piedmont High School.
I guarantee. And I remember when y'all. Now was this? I think you were there when you had the Old Cats Club.
Yeah, we started the Old Cats Club, and then Tim picked it up and run from there.
Right.
But yeah, we started with the guys that went to Piedmont, and a lot of us played when we didn't have good coaches, and we didn't have enough players, but we played.
Right.
And we loved the sport.
Right.
But we just didn't have a lot of success. And good coaches at Piedmont have won. Harold Carter won. Rusty Jester won. The good coaches can get it done because the kids out of Piedmont are very coachable. They don't mind working hard.
Ron Massie won.
Ron Massie won. Ron Massie was fit right in with our crowd. He was Todd. He was one of the best coaches and good friend of mine. That was a tragedy when he passed. But good coaches have won out there at Piedmont, and but we had a lot of fun. We laughed, but we worked hard. That's probably one of the, if I had to write a success story on something that I felt like happened, that I had a part of doing good, I'd have to rank that up number one.
And I think everybody around here is really hyper aware of what all you've done for that program over there over the years. Because, I mean, your name comes up. Just Coach Jester's, like when you talk about Piedmont football or wrestling, your Coach Jester's name comes up immediately. And then in that conversation, Terry Green's name comes up. So I feel like y'all worked hand in hand to get that done over there.
It was a good partnership.
It's been amazing what the wrestling program has done.
Oh, it's been steady for years.
Jamie has
unreal.
Jamie has taken that to the ultimate.
It's really been a good program.
It really has.
Todd, you got a notebook full of paper over there, but you got that microphone on?
It's on, I think.
All right, what you got? Well, let's get it going.
I mean, number one, I appreciate y'all having me here today. Man, it's an honor to be here with these guys, with you guys. I've watched the Swoop Monster episodes. I'm from Union County. I've never seen the Swoop Monster. Heard a lot about him from Eric back in the day. So I believe he's real. I just hadn't seen him.
He's out there.
But when you talk about coaching, I think a lot of us growing up, you don't know. You don't know what you got because that's all you know.
Right.
But when I started at Piedmont Middle School in the 6th grade, Coach Green ran the basketball program like clockwork, but he also started a conditioning program over there in the little weight room we had for to develop guys as they went to the high school. And Coach Jester would come over, and in my opinion, man, they were so far ahead of their time right there. You could buy yourself a blue shirt that said Piedmont weightlifting or Piedmont football. I don't remember exactly what it was, but you got a red shirt if you could bench press your weight. And gave them something to do, gave them a goal, and that was great. And that got me interested in strength training.
Right.
That red shirt meant something.
Yeah, you couldn't buy it. You had to earn that.
That's exactly.
And then we got to the high school and just the practice organization, the way things ran was so different than anything we'd ever done in middle school. I remember having film sessions in the band room on Monday before we went out to practice. We'd never done that, and he had to 16 millimeter reel film, and you clicking it back and forth. And what you hated to hear was that click, 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 click. Todd, what you doing right here? Is that what you're coached to do? No, sir.
Let me tell you about the band room. So this would have never happened if Coach Jester was there because I'd have been scared shitless to do it. But so what was old Mr. Hill, the band director? So he was our nurse, or he was our trainer, whatever you call it. We called him Nurse Hill.
Might as well call him a nurse.
He's such a good guy, and he was so good that he gave me a key to the band room, so I could go in there and use one of them air conditioned bathrooms if I wanted to. And I had it all year, so I used it a lot. Well, we had practice, and it was hot. It was everything out there, and all of a sudden that lunchroom meat hit my stomach. I said, I got to go. And so I go running back down there to the band room, use my key, go in there. So I walked in there, there's no toilet paper. I'm like, God. So I'm looking around there. I said, he said, surely to God he reads the newspaper. I'm looking, there's no newspaper. Ain't nothing. There's nothing but hardback book, whatever in there, but that was it.
Hope it wasn't the Bible.
All of a sudden, it was like heaven opened up and I heard, oh, I looked over there. I said, I'll be dang. All them flagpoles was running up against that thing.
Oh no!
Well, I had no idea that them flags are a lot bigger in person than they look, But I mean, I couldn't hold it no more. I yanked one of them flags off there. I said, he'll never miss one of them. And I didn't think about what I'm gonna do with it when I'm finished, because I mean, it was a wad that big. I was like, so I finished my business and I wiped up clean with that flag, and I said, They're like, long, coaches, guys. I went down in that toilet. I took off running out there. We were on the other side. Remember David Helms? We were on the other side of the field over there. And David said, what's Nurse doing? And I looked, I was like, oh, no. And he done went and got that pole, and he dug that flag out of that toilet, and he's marching across that field. You ain't never seen nobody so mad. He said, gee, I want the damn key now. There wasn't no, did you do this, or do you know who did this? And he comes straight, made a beeline to Mike Long.
It didn't take Sherlock Holmes to figure out who did that. I'm going to tell you right now.
Oh, Lord, we had good times over there, though, man. It was, I mean, when you were there, it was just totally different. You had you felt like you were a part of something. Like
last story. Huh? Last story for me.
Yeah.
We got an open week, getting ready to play Albemarle. Albemarle's ranked 8th in the state. Right, Eric? You remember that? You remember this now. They had a coach from NC State, David Bright, really good coach. He'd done a great job there. They had a bunch of good players. Probably 6 or 8 of their players went on to play college. Steve Rankin went to Ole Miss. He went to Ole Miss. He was already committed. Had Kevin Mack, Mack guy. He played nose guard, short, stocky dude. But Tony Underwood, he's in law enforcement in Monroe now. He played tight end for him, played at Lenore Ryan. Chris Hartzell played at NC State, was their quarterback, and they had some good players. And we had an open week. And I can't say enough, like guys like Eric and those guys too, when he was there, man, he created a culture. You're in a lot of places where you got some turds, some guys that don't want to practice, they don't want to do. Man, Eric Purser and Tony Helms, Craig May, Todd Lovin, those guys, their attitudes were awesome. Yep. And they treated everybody good. But man, we put in a whole new offense in the open week.
We had 3 guys get hurt. Tony, David, somebody else.
Did Steve Helms play? Steve Helms played with y'all too.
Steve Helms was on that team.
He and I are still great friends and love him to death. But we put in a Notre Dame box. Carl Bartles was our running backs coach and I would consider him an expert on the Notre Dame box. And we put it in that open week and practiced it the week before. And I'm gonna tell you what. When Albemarle rolled up, and they rolled up in there in 2 charter buses. I mean, they had the whole 9 now, and we whooped their ass. I'm gonna tell you what.
They did not know.
We gave it to them now, and it wasn't just offense. Now the offense got after them, but we hit them in the face on defense too. I mean, we knocked the hell out of them.
So y'all, did you get to play all 4 years with Coach?
He did.
You got 2, and you only got 1.
My brother played. Scott was there your first year.
Scott was quarterback, yeah. Broke his wrist on a quarterback draw.
Oh, my Lord.
But that was probably, at that point, that may have been one of the biggest wins, if not the biggest win Piedmont High School ever had. Because there was nobody picking us to win that game. I mean, that was
We weren't supposed to win that game.
After you left, when we played them teams like that, you go through your schedule and we would go, Parkwood, we got a chance. What's the School of the Blind? Had to be close, but we might beat them. And when you get done with your schedule, you look back and you say, 1. Well, we got 2 chances, boys. they wasn't no beating nobody we wasn't supposed to beat back then.
I got one story to tell. My senior year, Coach Jester, this sort of ties together. Senior year, he wanted you to play a sport each season, some type of sport. So after football, and I wasn't no counting basketball, I found out like Coach Jester Ball, he taught us all that in the PE. But so I went out.
No foul.
I went out for wrestling. Well, I go out there and wrestle my senior year. I was like 175. Daniel Donahue was like 110, 119.
Yeah.
Man, I would give out just warming up, hot as crap in that auditorium. Then we go to wrestling. He put Daniel Donahue and me. And me and Daniel was really good friends. He didn't play football, but he was a decent little wrestler. Well, he tied me up, and Coach Jester was laughing, and I said, Daniel, if you don't let me up, I'm gonna beat your ass when you do let me up. I didn't go back. I said, Coach, I'm gonna go run track. So I went to pole vaulting. So I could not take that wrestling.
You ended up being like you conference champ or something, wasn't you?
No, I did not pole vault.
I know you was like over 12 foot, weren't you?
I remember you pole vault.
I got 12-1. But Coach Barrows was the track coach. He didn't know much about pole vaulting, but he said, I'm gonna send y'all down there to Sun Valley. They got a real good pole vault coach, and they did, but I don't know. But anyway, and then senior year, Coach Jester said, like end of the school year almost, he said, hey, you gonna play college football? I said, and I wasn't that good a high school football player. I was just on the team, sort of average. He said, you'll play college football? I said, well, can I? He said, yeah, go take the SAT Saturday. And this was like Wednesday. He said, you can go to Leeds McRae. And I said, man, that's great. So I went and took the test, first person to finish it. I didn't know what SAT was. I made like $6.99 or something.
Well, you had to get at least 700 for signing your name, so you got at least 700.
So I went to Leeds McRae and I told Mom, I said, I'm going to Leeds McRae to play college football. I go up there, it's a junior college, but they say if you play 2 years, then you can transfer and play if you do good in school. I went up there and got them classes, and there was like 8 people in the class, and we were doing ABCs. I said, Mama, this class is too easy, but my SAT was terrible. So they thought I was really dumb. And I was sort of dumb.
You just want a good test maker. Yeah, that's right.
Well, I stayed up there and then wing it started and I transferred and that's where I got to wing it. But I would have never played football if it wasn't for that man right there.
Yeah. And you know, Frank Kelly played. He was All-American, I think, at Leeds McRae, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So you know that you already.
What position did
Him
Frank
alone
play?
made you elevate the way you looked at it.
He was like a linebacker. Yeah.
He was kind of built like a linebacker for sure. He had a big old cannonball calves. I remember playing softball with
Played a
him.
lot of softball.
I remember he was down there. We was playing church softball down here at Shallow Ball Field, and Frank just pulled up there in the fence. He's just going to watch a little bit. He's just sitting there, and somebody sent one of the deputies over there and told him he had to leave. Either he needed to come in, pull on up there, or he had to leave. And Frank said, I'm not going to be here but a minute. He said, I'm going to stay right here. He said, when I'm done, and I'll leave. And he said, well, you're going to leave or I'm going to make you leave. Frank said, how many more you got coming? and he wasn't playing either. Yeah. He was letting him know real quick that you ain't going to make me leave. Huh?
How was your career at Lenore Ryan?
Mine?
Yeah.
I had a good career there. I enjoyed it. It was a great place. It's Division II football, but I was able to start. I started in 38 straight games. So from the time I was a freshman to the time I was a senior, I started about the 5th game through.
Free safety?
No, I had grown out of safety. I was a defensive end.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. Got there as a linebacker, and I figured out real quick when you're in the middle of that tornado. It was hard because they want you to step downhill, but then you have to back up real quick if they pass it. And I just wasn't my reaction wasn't real good. I found out I wasn't as good an athlete as I thought I was going there. But when everything's coming from one direction, it was a little bit easier for me. And I played defensive end and ended up the award that was the most special to me was as a senior I was elected captain.
Oh, very good.
I was one of our tri-captains. And
Well, you made all conference at North Ryan, didn't you?
yes, sir, I did.
That's what I thought. I thought I remember that.
Congratulations, that's great.
All conference twice. So that was it was a great experience. I mean, it was a great fit for me, and I'm thankful that I went when I went because, like you at Catawba, with transfer portal now, we may not have stayed. I may not stayed there, and you miss out on a whole bunch of stuff. College ball right now is not teaching these young men what they're what we learned and what we really want them, what they say they want them to learn.
I think you see a lot of coaches that are like Coach Jester and the way we had it that are successful, they've been resigning because they can't deal with these athletes now. You know, if they ain't got their 20 points in basketball, it don't matter if your team's up 100. The parents are going to say, you didn't let him get his 20, we transferring, you know, or whatever. You know, it's just almost to the point where they're uncoachable. And a lot of the good coaches, the coaches that are taking it as I'm developing young men, not just ball players, they're just stepping aside because they can't deal with it
I
anymore.
went to Catawba's homecoming game last year and looked at the roster, and they don't put high school anymore. They put where they transferred from.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's awful.
It's crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
Don't have their hometown that has their previous college.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Everybody on the roster's transferred.
What we don't have to do. I was thinking about the escort seat story.
Oh, I won't need to go there.
Pass. That's a hard pass.
That's right. That's a hard pass.
I'll tell you the beginning of it. I won't tell you the end of it. I ain't gonna go there. All I'm saying is all I got so sick of when I was in school the whole time. Because Todd was a year older and he's a pretty boy and the big old boy, everything. So all these little girls, because
You were a pretty boy.
he was,
There you go.
had his little hair flip, wore the nice clothes.
Had the hair flip.
And them girls, we were a year younger, so I had to hear that crap all the time. Now, you and Todd are friends? Yeah, we're friends. Now, what's he like? I mean, he ain't worth a shit, does he? I don't want to hear about Todd Hagler no more. It really didn't bother me. I was proud for him. I said, shit, my mama cuts my hair and I got freckles and I'm proud somebody else is half-assed good looking, so they can.
If I don't shave, my beard turns as red as a tomato.
that pretty boy thing, that just never was in my forte.
I never had to worry about that either.
Well, you married up, I can tell you
I
that.
sure did. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I think we all did. I think everybody in here's
For sure.
done pretty. Brian, his husband's really good looking.
But he's a little shorter.
Yeah.
Always thinking about a man. Hey, Coach, did y'all have that don't ask, don't tell policy back in the day?
Yeah, you better not tell back in the day.
Listen, I'll tell you what thing. We was so Gary Poplin. I don't know how old Gary was his senior year, but he'd been there for a while.
He had his own parking space.
He parked with the teachers. But, and I'm 14 years old, so we're getting ready for a game or something. Or maybe I can't even remember, but he was in there getting his ankles taped, and he had a lot of injuries his senior year. But, Gary was a stout little fire hydrant looking thing.
Yep.
So he's in there. I come in there and I said, can I borrow some scissors from the nurse? She's handing them to me. He's wrapping his hands. So I laid my shirt down. I was listening to him talk, trying to be one of the cool kids with him. And I started cutting my shirt off, so I could put it under my shirt. All of a sudden I said, I said, what the heck? Got on through it. They kept talking. I threw that piece over there in the trash and I picked my shirt up and I went, and he had just got a pair of brand new cleats. I cut the down shoestrings off of them. And so he said, I was like, oh, he said, well, don't stand there. Go get me yours. I was like, yes, sir. I'll tell you, you remember Joe Gates?
Oh, yeah.
So we were getting ready for a wrestling match and everybody, Joe, I don't think ever lost a dual match his whole career, did he?
I don't remember that.
He lost some tournaments, but dual, I'm pretty sure he went undefeated.
He was good.
But Joe was a big, just big tough guy, and he was a senior. Him and Gary might have been about the same age, I don't know. But I came in there one day, we was getting ready in the weight room, for our match. And Joe was sitting back there, with his earphones in, and he's just by himself. He ain't hearing no foolishness. Everybody, but I wrestled him every day, so I aggravated him every day and got beat up. So I come in there and I seen him earphones in. I said, I said something smart, like that, and laughed, and he just said. And I turned around and looked at everybody else. They was like, boy, you crazy. You crazy. I said, ain't that right, Joe? He said, so I went in there, messed around a little bit longer. I came back in there 10 minutes later. I started talking junk again about him. And I was laughing. I turned around and looked there. I looked back around. He said, the volume's off. Come here. I said, oh, shit. I'm running again. Oh, Lord. Lord, we had a good time over there. I wish that I wish I'd have got to experience what y'all got to experience here, because it was, I mean, they wasn't no better. I mean, like I said, we've all played ball and been around coaches, coached, but you had a huge impact on so many people, you know. I mean, that's just the truth. It's
Right.
And Todd, same way. Them boys, they still, you know, our kids have got friends that went to Kannapolis over there, and that's all they, Coach Hag, you know. So, and the good thing about it, since we all was in the same areas and teams and stuff, I know for a fact that we sent a couple of our programs over there for you to work with them on how to train and everything during, then open them up, you know.
You came over to Metrolina and did some stuff for them, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he let us come up there to Kannapolis and let them boys see what the real team was training like. And then even the coaches, man, Todd has a way about him too. He'd get them fired up and they'd be back to practice the next day and it'd be a different team. You could see that they saw something new, you know, and something they wanted, you know. So it was, I appreciate
It's tough to keep them motivated in the weight room day after day after day after day. It takes special skill to.
I thought you were going to come to Piedmont when Coach Massie came. I thought you was coming with him.
I thought about it. I love Ron Massie now. That's my man right there. He was
In the
special.
weight room, he'd be talking to you about certain defenses and what to do and what would you do, get your opinion. And I'm like, he just needs to come over here.
Listen, you know, when I knew Todd was going to be real good at it,
What?
he'd been doing it for a little while. And we had something, it might have been your birthday party at your house or something, and all them other coaches came over there, and they got that Southern football talk going, that coach. I said, man, how's your team? Well, Mike, I'm going to tell you, they're okay. That we could be better. And I said, damn, he is committed. Got to talk and everything, you know. But we had Andy on here.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Saw that one too.
He's
We need to
very
have
humble,
him.
very humble.
We
isn't he?
need to have him back. That was one of our highest rated shows.
he's got a ball game in, I think, Chattanooga tonight. He's coaching out there. So, because I called him too, and to see if he was really.
Who's he coaching with now?
I didn't ask. When I talked to him, he said, man, if I wasn't going to be in Tennessee coaching tomorrow night, I'd definitely. He said, dang. He said, you can't move it. I said, I mean, we could, but that's gonna be tough. You know, I don't know. So we're gonna get Andy back on here some more. He's got, and he told me, he said, man, he said, I was a little bit nervous. He said, I didn't know what to expect, you know, and stuff. He said, so now that I know, we're just gonna sit around and talk and tell stories. He said, you know, I got some stories. I said, yes, you do. I said,
And some of them you can't actually share on here.
yeah.
Well, y'all may know this, but I umpired high school baseball for 19 years.
I knew you umpired some, but I didn't know.
Actually, after I retired, I umpired a couple years in South Carolina. But the point I was going to make is Andy's still the best player I ever saw in high school.
Is that right?
Well, I think that even guys from there's just some things that I talked with Andy some on, you know, when we were talking and some away. Players that were getting paid a lot more money than him would still seek his advice when it came to hitting. He could hit it. He had
different equipment than everybody
yeah,
else.
Right.
Yeah, he had an approach that just set him.
If he hadn't started out pitching and they'd have put him in left field and batted him probably second,
That's right.
he would have got there quicker and he would have stayed longer.
Right. And I'm going to tell you, listen, he's the most gifted guy I ever got to be around, you know, and the one thing about him is I think that put him over everybody else too was he had that Jester mentality too. I mean, he really did. Yeah, he's a fireball. Yeah. And he meant to win.
Jester ball, he was terrible.
Well, y'all was throwing them bodies though.
Yeah, because there was no fouls.
He was playing basketball in the 7th grade. You were in the 8th grade, right? You were a year older than him. Remember when we played in Monroe? The year before, Monroe, Stan Summerlin was the coach, and they'd beaten Piedmont Middle like 108-8. And I went over before the game started with Stan. And I said, well, let me tell you, I'm going to start the 7th graders. And I said, you know, we're learning. But if you beat me by more than 30, me and you going to tangle after this game. You can beat me because you got some athletes.
Right.
So I put Andy out there and Scott Underwood and some of them other kids. And we got up 15 points. Andy was outrunning the Monroe kids. And he was outscored them. And we were up 15 points before he put his horses in. They beat us by about 15, but it was a ball game. It wasn't no blowout.
I saw Andy two-hand dunk a basketball from under the goal.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Flat-footed.
Flat-footed.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you something. His brother Sandy was an athlete.
Right.
If he'd have had if you'd have been coaching when he was playing over there, he would have probably got to go somewhere. He was an athlete.
I remember the first week of practice when Andy was playing, Coach Bartles had him, and I bet he didn't weigh 120 pounds. And Carl Candyman said, you got to see him hit that two-man sled, Coach. Said he's like a darn 200-pounder. I walked down there, and he's hitting that sled, and it looked like a 200-pounder hitting that sled.
You know who I was on the bus in middle school, and we were heading out, and I looked over there, and I think Victor Pierce was hitting that dang sled.
Broke it.
I mean, and he was flipping it. I mean, he was that joker. I mean, I was like, holy crap, you know. But he wasn't a huge man either, but he was tearing that thing up. I was, good Lord.
He had a look about him too, man. His eyes just, you knew something wasn't just right all the way up in there.
That boy, he come up there. I was bouncing at Boppers years ago. I probably wasn't even old enough to be in there. And Victor come up there one night, and it was an off night or something. And he said, hey, boy, how long you got to stay here? I said, well, we close at 2. He said, ain't hardly nobody in here. They need you. I said, what you want to do? He said, man, let's go spotlight some rabbits. And I said,
Spotlight rabbit? What?
I went in there.
I never heard of that before, rabbit.
Yeah, we did that.
Boy, listen, we slayed him that night. And what blew my mind was people like him so good. And this wasn't a family member. I don't even know. It was just somebody that was close to where we was hunting. And he just went up there and knocked on the door at like 4:30 in the morning. And they were like, oh, Victor, how you doing? He said, you reckon you fry this up for us and make us some biscuits? And she did. And her husband come out, and they was probably in their 60s. I can't remember who it was, but only Victor Pierce could get that, and I mean, get a woman out of bed.
4:30 in the morning.
4:30 in the morning.
Did y'all already clean them? Or
Yeah, we did.
okay. Well,
Yeah.
at least you did that for her.
Yeah. He's a trip, but I remember that, and you know who else could flip that thing over? You know, because when you're a kid, you watch that, you see what that's like. But Dwight Locklear used to daggum hit that thing hard.
Locklear was a good football player. He was a great athlete, man.
Yeah, he
was.
Guy was a great athlete.
What else y'all got to cover over? Because that's been good. I think Taylor will make a show out of that. Anything else you think of, Coach, that you want to? Terry Green, thank you so much. Todd Hagler, thank you for coming. Eric Purser, you just Eric.
As always.
You always gonna be here. Coach Jester, man, we can't thank you enough. We want to get you back on here. Maybe get Chris come on to with you sometime
I think
too.
he was, because I asked him, I think he's a little nervous about
Get Chris and
it.
Andy back.
That'd be good.
That'd be a good little show.
Yeah,
Chris and who?
Andy,
Oh, yeah.
get you guys back. Well, thank y'all so much. We appreciate you so much. Thank you for everything you did for so many of us young fellas back in the day, because
Thank
a
you.
lot it rubbed off. It really did, a lot of it.
Thank you.
And we thank you for that. Terry, thank you for everything. We've had a good time. Stay Southern, y'all.